Welcome to another little video. I'm not allowed to find any sleep. This is Tuesday, 13th of February 2018. It is 5:21 in the morning. If you prefer the new calendar, then this is actually 16th of Deutels. I have been, by the torturers, kindly asked to record a video on a realization I had just a few minutes ago. This has to do with some of the messages that I sent to Google via their search engine simply. And also to Bing. This here also, because there was two previous ones, one having to do with something that Google and Bing were supposed to tell the NSA and Pentagon regarding their entire delusional mechanism that they think to have had and to a certain extent tried to work, that they would only ever allow something to happen if, and also best as possible when, they would have a out-of-the-box plan and reaction for it already. That was the previous to this message, and the one prior to that even was something to do with Texas. I'm not going to go into that because that has been pointed out to the universe out there, and hence everybody on Earth also. But I want to talk about this one here. It says here also, let's put a comma here, also, tell the Advent and the allergies and nobility, as well as the same such in the newly defined Spain, that the entire multiple phases organ donor and recipient at the same time, with the sloppy operation jobs and the crummy payment/exchange deals, plus the wonderhealer/immortalizer for cancer patients, all made poof. What does that mean? I mentioned in my last video that I was getting all kinds of body description tortured and so on and so forth. There is a very, very, very elaborate, multi-layered, multifaceted set of routines that I work in. Everything is based on illegal downwards connecting in the ports list, okay, where they force entry at one of the outer external ports and then illegally connect all the way down into the lowest at the system tree, right, which is absolutely inhuman a thing to do, and have nothing but drones, plus of course best as possible boosted a little with stupid scripts actually on some computer, but they are actually behind the scripts. I feel like they have the drones behind the scripts, so that when it comes in, shoved into the fields here that my proxy devices emit in my apartment, it is actually harumphed by the scripts in addition to what comes through into the fields here, namely both bio signals and feedback, as well as certain thoughts, and moreover they try to emotionalize these, because their latest attempt seems to be trying emotion at me, which completely fizzles, I am happy to inform you. But that's probably a bit of a bitch queen spin on that idiocy. What they do actually is they have drones that actually have had organs either removed or have become organs, as in have received, sorry, that's bad translation with the fucking drone and the wrong lookup table of the drone again, or have received organs. And what they actually do in some completely crazy, obscene way is that in German there exists a word called, in southern German and hereabouts, called Fleckerlteppich. I once knew a word, I think it was a British word for that. Fleckerlteppich means a carpet. Most people have that in the kitchen rather than in the living room. A carpet which is made of countless wee little segments of different patterned fabrics, right? It looks like a patchwork kind of thing. They try to declare my body into a complete Fleckerlteppich. At the same time, coerce via illegal downwards through the ports list straight their And that part certainly is script enhanced, and for that they actually have attack drones in addition to the actual drones from whom they get the organs have been removed or planted in ones, and try to declare my entire body as a Fleckerlteppich. Moreover, try to work on my phases thinking, and for that they best as possible try to keep the let me see if I can give you, because you don't re-watch the videos enough, so I want to give you the, I think it's in here somewhere, what they do. Oh, okay, this just has, okay, this doesn't have the system on it, so I'll open up this here. What they actually do, illegal downwards connecting, is they have the external ports illegally pointing inwards, right? These are like external ports on a computer. Usually in a computer everything points monodirectionally towards the external ports, and all data trafficking happens at the door, so to speak. What they do is they pry this open, inverse the direction of this being monodirectionally up to monodirectionally down, and moreover connect not in an always 8 fashion, but completely illegally all the way down to the system here and here. In fact, they do it with quite a lot of drones, and they do it probably as broad as they can drive the attacks, and have most probably a different fucking such organ donor / organ recipient fucker at each system level for each of the actual phases, right? My own and these 4. And for that I give you this one here again, because here you don't have the system. What they actually have is they try best as possible to keep the con emos off and just work with the copies of those. And of course they always love torturing my con ego. I do want to point this out. That's nothing new, but when it comes to the other 4 trees, best as possible they try to prevent the con emos coming on, because they would bring the actual thinking harumph. If you connect from outward downward simply to the copy ports, the con emo beneath is not automatically turned on, and hence the copies have very little thinking harumph, so that they find it harder, my phases, to actually understand that they're just being fucked with, so to speak. So they're doing this. The Slavia operation job is that in addition to that, they try to work some things that some of these, actually that the sum total doesn't add up. Which means they try to paint me as such a Fleckerlteppich that I cannot be a human being, because no human being has 5 kidneys. Or didn't you donate 3 kidneys by now? Hey, wait a minute, humans just have 2. Oh, apparently you are not a human, because you couldn't have donated 3 kidneys. Because they told 3 different phases that they donated a kidney, and thus they try to add it up to 3 donated, but of course nobody has 3 kidneys. At least not by nature. Most nobody. Maybe some freak abominations might have, and certain people who receive a donated 3rd, maybe. There are such cases, but not by nature. So that's one of the things, that the number doesn't add up of organs which have been donated allegedly or received, all virtually of course, illegally downwards connected. And the crummy payments is that they actually try to work this around all the shit that they have absolute no one fuckers out there in a puppeteered fashion drop into the waste bins here in my neighborhood. So when I'm out of money, which happens every fucking month about halfway through the month, and I have to go through the waste and trash cans here to see if there's anything to eat in there, some of these things, sometimes I pull out stuff that has nothing to do with something to eat. Let's see. Well, what did I pulled out a little toy ball, a black and red sand-filled little softball of sorts. Sort of looks like a baseball. It's a little small actually. That was one of the things. And there's stuff that Faex Mundi deliberately has puppeteered nobodies here, put in the trash can on completely robot mode, and I get out of the trash can, and they try to work on my faces that I sell or exchange my organs for shit like that. That's with the crummy payment exchange deal. And the thing gets better, because especially to my throat area, what they actually do, and here we're going to the bitch queen specifically again, what with their complete ridiculous hatred for smoking, they're actually having fuckers who had their throat operated on, be it because of smoking related things or not, several of these fuckers constantly getting their biofeedback recorded and shoved into mine, so that I'm, in addition to all the Fleckerlteppich on the organs situation, constantly am being given a throat as if I didn't even fucking have a throat anymore. Okay, that's just the latest thing. Now, the real reason why I mention this and why I was asked to bring it up, because the fuckers seem to find it funny that I should point it out, even though it's pointless, but here I just want to demonstrate to you the unspeakable insanity of these fuckers, not just by things like that I just explained here, but by them actually finding it funny if I were to explain this to you, so I will. Now, Spain is mentioned here, in here. I did not too long ago in a video comment on a bit of odd news, be it real or fake. See, what they try to do, I want to talk a little about that too. There was this another story that may have been fake or not. This what is he called? That idiot who thinks he has a private space program allegedly blew or transported one of his cars up into space or something. At least that's what one heard in the news. And I think the photo they had in the newspaper was the car being red, I think, or the car being blue, or the car being of color A, just that it really wasn't. Because what they try to work is to make a basically true piece of news into a lie, you know? So like the guy really was brought to the point where he would shoot a fucking car into space. That is true, I take it. But the color of the car was not actually the one that was spread in the news. So that people are driven away from being able to verify. I mean, it doesn't work, don't worry. In fact, that is one of the least working things that they have ever tried. This is just because of their completely wrong fucking not at all understanding of the zero-dimensional and how truth in the universe works. But I want to give you a nice example there. What they have is semi-true. It's not fake news. It is semi-true, so to speak, news, because the news as such is real, but just a particular aspect of it, which is always transmitted along with the news, such as the specific color of the car, is actually fake. And thus, they try to undermine truth and how the universe handles truth, and so on and so forth. Also, because they still delude all wrongly about something that they consider a shared mind or something, when I years ago stopped even fucking mentioning the old shared mind because it doesn't exist anymore as such, and so on and so forth. Okay, so, but back to Spain. The Spanish fuckers, and here is the newly defined Spain, and here I want to show you the map of Europe again, so that we all know what I'm talking about, because if you don't watch these videos on a regular basis, then you might get the term Spain a little wrong. This map here, the new Spain is just this here. Okay? Just this here. Not this, not this. And even this former little chunk of Spain has come to join Portugal. This is what I'm talking, the newly defined Spain. Okay? Not this up here, not this down here, and not this over here, and of course not this here, for completeness sake. This here, the newly defined Spain. Europe is what with this no longer being the period of Faex Mundi, but now being the period of Philot in the 8th age of mankind. Faex Mundi's period was the 7th period in the 7th age of mankind. This is the first period in the 8th age of mankind. This is the period of Philot, and the age and period and that age with Faex Mundi is over, and because of that, nothing on Europe can anymore. In the olden days when I had the other types of maps, I would say get any redder, any more red, when I marked with red the annihilation areas. This is all that's going to get annihilated here, as I explained. Everything that's white here, note that this is gray and this is gray, because this is just a map looking at the Europe situation, even though, of course, as I have established previously, the western half of what used to be the Asian side of Turkey will get annihilated, okay? But don't mistake this for white. This is just a light gray. This is not Europe. Europe ends here at the Bosporus and doesn't go further east. This here area, this here, this here, this here, and this here, and these islands here, even though here they're colored lime green, I explained that in a few videos back. This is all that will get annihilated on Europe by me, quintessentially, as a necessary step for the liberation of all mankind. Now, I have said previously quite a few times that Sweden avoided annihilation, and that is true. I have also, however, countless times since then, and thus it definitely found its way into the zero-dimensional. I'm not perfectly sure if I actually mentioned it in a video. I'm pretty sure I didn't explicitly mention it in one of the Verlautbarungsmails, but they certainly have it on the extraction protocol, and if you don't find it anywhere, then there once more is a proof how the extraction protocols are being forged in light. I have always understood that and made it very clear, because there is no reason to hold back truth. You cannot hold back truth. The way the universe works is truth cannot be held back. That truth in itself is another thing that with their the car was not red but it was blue shit they try to fight against. Okay, now once more, Faex Mundi trying to fight against perpetual mechanisms of the perpetual infinite universe. That's the level of removed from reality that Faex Mundi are. But back to the Sweden situation. So I won't annihilate Sweden, and the annihilation of Sweden is not necessary as part of the liberation of mankind. Unlike these territories here, what used to be Denmark, the enlarged Denmark as it used to be, these here parts of former Germany, this here mostly the Netherlands and parts of Belgium, and this here being a former part of Belgium, old. And all of this will get annihilated because of me as a necessary, inevitable step to the liberation of mankind. Sweden, other than the topic whether or not they have enough non-freakazoids in childbirth able ages in Sweden, I mentioned that topic before, that topic ignored, Sweden, while not to get annihilated by me, may very well suffer a very pissed Norway and who knows what else that might simply choose, and namely what else might not just be Finland, but really depending on how the Swedish Faex Mundi works certain shit, I am pretty darn sure that there'll be a whole lot of Russians who might be a wee bit pissed at the fucking Swedes. And it may well be that Norway and maybe who else, maybe Russia, not Finland, I want to make this clear, not Finland, but maybe already some of the other nations in even the domain that Finland is in, Sweden might well get, the Swedes might well get extinct. But in a regular war, so to speak, it's actually not a war because it would be with the goal of annihilation, but it is not annihilation that I, the Prime Protector of Mankind, carry out. It would be a political statement, so to speak, an understandable human wrath if the Norwegians decide to just kill every fucking Swede there is. That is possible. Okay, that is possible. It's not going to get annihilated by me. The precisely similar situation, and here we finally come back to Spain, exists for this here newly defined Spain. I want to make very, very clear here that by now it has become very obvious to me, and thus is available as truth in the zero-dimensional, that while even this little chunk will not get, that remained of the old Spain, will not get annihilated by me in that sense as these territories will get annihilated, it may very well also find the situation that it is that all the people from here will simply get extinct by, say, this country, this country, this country, this country. I bet your ass this country here, not islands, not part, this country here, Albion, and that would simply be a political statement of Albion. Right? I want you to understand this right. By comparison, all newly defined Spaniards stand a significantly higher risk of all getting killed. Let's use that word. Let's use the word killed. They all get killed and they all get annihilated. Annihilation is what happens through me and for the goal of liberating mankind. That's the white territories. Sweden stands a chance of all getting killed by a couple of pissed nations. And this here little shit country, newly defined Spain, this shit country of all the shit that lives there, is actually standing an even higher chance of all getting killed. Albion will, upon the liberation of mankind, declare publicly as a political measure their goal to kill every fucking shit that lives here. And they will not be the only nation doing that. You might very well get quite a few countries from South America who will contribute to the killing of every fucking shit that lives in these parts. You might get from here and from here and from here and from here. You might actually get from other parts of Europe, because as I said in the past, for a while they tried some odd combinations all across the continent or something. I'm not sure what they tried there. This shit stands a very high chance of also winding up one big nature reserve, free of any kind of bypass. And that was what the torturers tonight wanted me to record in this video to point out to you. I see no issue with it because it's the truth. So I want you to understand, it is not white. I'm not going to annihilate it. If Albion, for whatever reason, or anybody else really, it's not really Albion, it's just that Albion is the most likely candidate, considering the collaboration there was between the previous so-called king and most probably the current so-called king and all the Drex delusional wannabe nobility on Albion. Albion is most likely to simply choose that it would be doing Europe, if nothing else, a favor if it went to kill all the fucking filth that lives here. And I mean all of them. Okay? So, it ain't white, and Sweden ain't white. I'm not going to annihilate it, but both these countries stand a high risk of the people from there getting killed completely 100%, and this here shit country even a higher such risk than this, high as that already is. There, and that is what I wanted to inform you about in this video.